Hey everyone, Christie from Happy and Healthy TV here with you guys today. So it is like 3 a.m. in good old New York. Yay! Not really. And Insomniac me is awake as usual. Let me talk to you a little bit about that. So today we're going to film a video of 100 Days of a Girl with Lyme documentary. Hooray! We're up to day 7. So I figured, since this is an ongoing problem for me and a lot of Lymies that I've met, I would talk about insomnia. Why do people with Lyme disease and or co-infections have such significant issues with insomnia? So that's a pretty loaded question. So let me jump into my answer there. So there are a number of reasons that people with Lyme could wind up having problems with insomnia. One of them is a dysregulation of the autonomic nervous system and the central nervous system. So if there are problems with the autonomic nervous system, so you've had Lyme disease, that means that it's traveled past the blood-brain barrier, and I'm like kind of pointing to it, travel past that blood-brain barrier, and it winds up floating around your brain. You wind up with encephalitis, or like in my case, meningitis. I don't recommend that. It is not fun. You can wind up with all sorts of imbalances. High cortisol levels will cause problems with sleep. Adrenal fatigue will cause problems with sleep, so your adrenal glands. If you have a thyroid condition, that can cause problems with sleep. So quite commonly and frequently do I see patients who have Lyme, who have all of these issues, one of them, all of them. Those are definitely concerns that we have. I will hear a lot of Lyme patients too, and I'm included with this bracket, where they kind of, people won't sleep in the evenings, but then they'll all of a sudden crash in the middle of the day and get exhausted. Chronic fatigue has been recognized widely for people with Lyme, and you have a couple of things going on. One, maybe you're not getting enough rest in the evenings, and then it's spilling into the day and you're falling asleep. I've had a lot of patients, myself included at one point in time, who are bedbound, so they're not getting any exercise, so you're not going to be tired, and you're probably going to have erratic sleep patterns. I have a lot of my patients with neuropsych Lyme who have severe anxiety, and that will keep them awake in the evenings, or their brain is like go, 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 and it's just not shutting down. That's a classic, what we would call in functional neural, right hemispheric deficit or weakness, where the left side of the brain is, kind of keeping the body awake. It's kind of in go, go, go mode. It doesn't want to stop, where the right side of the brain should regulate that. So that's of concern. If you're interested in learning more about that, I would recommend to read one of my colleagues' books, Dr. Robert Mallow, Disconnected Kids, Reconnected Kids, The Disconnected Kids Nutrition Plan, or his textbook. They're all great books. But they do go into further depth and explain that. It's almost like what we'd call a PANDAS case, when strep bacteria attacks the brain. Lyme also, we know, is a bacterium, and that can cause some issues. I have been told several times by my current Lyme doctor, who has studied with Dr. Dietrich, I can never say the poor gentleman's name, Dietrich Klinghardt, I can say his last name. He believes that if you have Lyme bacteria attacking the brain, you're not going to fall asleep, because the body's trying to keep itself awake to protect the brain. So that always made sense to me, that piece there. In my case specifically, I learned late last year that not only do I have Burgdorferi, which is the main Lyme bacteria, that's what you get an ELISA or Western blot test on. On top of that, I have 2 co-infections. One is Bartonella, or we call it Bart for short. The other one is Babesia. Babesia can cause a lot of issues and is more parasitic in its nature. And also can cause fungal problems, overgrowth like candida, things like that. Why do I bring that up when I'm talking about insomnia? Well, again, for good reason. If you have Lyme that's past the blood-brain barrier, or we presume that it's past it, that's definitely going to cause insomnia. Again, the question is why? And this is coming from, again, this Dr. Michael Gervich and Dr. Tia Trevisano. So some things I've picked up and learned from them along the way. And of course, this made sense to me too, having some background in functional neuro, and understanding nutrition the way that I do in anatomy. Think about your brain. You've got bacteria, fungus, parasites, all attacking the brain at one time. Poor brain. It's like getting these parasites, fungus, and things are like eating it like it's Thanksgiving dinner or something like that. Again, you're not going to fall asleep. Those parasites can keep you awake. Bacterium can keep you awake. The fungal infections can keep you awake. Again, this was also cited by a dear friend of mine, Nurse Karen, up in Massachusetts, who also suffers from Lyme. And she and I talk about this frequently. You're not going to fall asleep. The brain's not going to allow sleep. Here's another problem with Lyme with insomnia, and that's something called alpha intrusion. A lot of people who display symptoms of Lyme where it's attacked the brain will see that that becomes a problem. So that's something else to pay attention to as well. It's an interesting phenomenon, really. Finally, let me see. So alpha intrusion, you're not getting into REM stages of sleep, so the body's going and switching back between stage 1 and 2, and you're never getting to that third stage of sleep, which is that restful state of sleep where we dream, and that helps us out to solve problems. Remember, our brains never shut off. If they did, we'd be dead. So that being said, the brain's still working in the evenings. It's trying to regulate things. Another problem with a lot of Lymies is I see just issues with circadian rhythm. We kind of get off on our circadian rhythm, and we do not seem to go to bed or wake up when the sun is up or down. Our bodies are designed to wake when the sun comes up and go to bed when the sun goes down. Now, some people will ask me, well, Christy, what do you do in the wintertime when it gets dark at 4:30 in the afternoon? Are we supposed to go to sleep? Interestingly enough, there are studies done on this. Not that all species hibernate, but we're the only species, so to speak, that actually becomes busier in the wintertime. I learned a lot about this when I went to school for nutrition. I found this kind of fascinating. This was from Chinese medicine. And they looked at the relationship between animals that would hibernate. So let's say you have a bear and it hibernates over the wintertime. That's normal for them to go ahead and do that. But in our culture, we don't slow down in the wintertime, right? The days are much longer in the summer, and people obviously needed that, 50, 100 years ago, and still currently, for farming purposes, to be able to be out and about. But our bodies are designed to be more active in the summertime. They're designed to be less active in the wintertime. But what happens in the winter, guys? We have a lot of celebratory things that happen in our culture, at least in the United States. We've got Thanksgiving, you have Christmas, or Hanukkah, or Kwanzaa, or I think that's a meld of all of those things, excuse me guys, all putting together into one thing. And we become very busy with parents are busy with children's activities with school, children are busy with extracurricular activities, so you're kind of carting yourself around in the dark. Seasonal affective disorder, if you're somebody like me, when the sun leaves for the wintertime, if you live in a climate where you're like in the Northeast, or in a climate where you're having the change of seasons more, we definitely see seasonal affective disorder come up, along with coinciding low levels of vitamin D. So that's another parallel issue that we deal with that. That can affect your sleep regulation as well. So there's a lot of things that can happen. There was one more thing I was thinking about when it comes to sleep. Oh, here you go. Your brain may be not getting enough oxygen. If you have Lyme carditis, or you have sarcoidosis that's attacked the lungs, like has happened in my particular case, I am on home oxygen at times. I try not to use it unless I really, really need it, and my O2 stats drop in the mid-80s, and I'll pop it on. But if I don't sleep with it at night at this point, I do not get enough. I won't get enough sleep, and that makes sense. If the brain is not getting enough oxygen, trying to fall asleep, it's going to keep you awake because it's trying to protect itself. The brain is really smart, even mine, that's got a lot of damage from Lyme floating around in it. One of the things that I always talk to patients about is that. So if you are having an issue where you feel like you're not getting enough oxygen, or you have babesia, which causes air hunger, you kind of will have problems like that. So if you're diagnosed with Lyme carditis, which is inflammation around the heart muscle, which again I have, and I kind of, in my case, I have a double whammy. I have an aberrant right subclavian artery defect. So thanks, Mom, for whatever you were doing while you were pregnant with me. I had wound up with some interesting birth defects. I've got quite a few of them. Most of them are internal. Some of them are on the outside. They're funny. I joke around about a couple of them, but that can cause issues with swallowing. You guys ever notice me swallow 9 million times in a video, like I have to do right now? That can cause problems too. So again, sometimes we'll see people with Lyme disease go for sleep studies, things like that. I would recommend that if you're having problems sleeping, maybe something is up with that. I just had recently gone from like my fourth sleep study. It was like, really, please, do I have to do this again? But I did go ahead and do it, only for the simple fact that I know stuff has changed with my cardio and pulmonary health since the last time I had one done. So I'm curious to see what that one says. But I do know from my oxygen monitor, I do destat in the middle of the night. And there are times where I just stop breathing altogether in the middle of the night. So I always joke around. I'm a cat with like 9 million lives versus 9, because I, for all intents and purposes, should have been dead a very long time ago from most of the stuff that goes on. So that can affect sleep too. So there are a lot of things, like I said, that can affect your sleep. And here's another one. Let me just throw this out here. I went through a bunch of physical stuff. Let me go through some mental slash emotional, psychological issues that could prevent you from sleeping. I find a lot of people have anxiety in the evenings, and or they have a hard time shutting their brains off when they're trying to go to sleep. That can be an issue too, especially if you're a Limey who's dealing with a lot of significant problems. Maybe you've lost your job. Maybe it's a financial issue. You're trying to figure out how to get treatment. You don't know where to get treatment. You don't know how to get treatment. The things that run through somebody with Lyme's brain on a daily basis is just, to me, blows my mind. I saw a documentary, a TED Talk a little earlier today, about a woman who was talking about having Lyme disease versus having cancer. And again, this is no, God for bless, no offense to anybody who has cancer in any way. But the treatment of patients is way different. I have dealt with my own issues with melanoma and things like that, and I've been on and off oncology wards, and I find it treated so much nicer in those places. But if I go somewhere where it's more Lyme oriented, it's almost, there's that stigma, like, step back. Not sure what's wrong with that patient. And that can be really frustrating. So I've had many, many, many people contact me in the middle of the night. That's like the worst time for so many people, where they kind of just are perseverating on these negative thoughts. And I always tell people that's not going to help. However, we're all human, right? Everybody gets upset sometimes. You're allowed to have, I say to patients, have a 5-minute pity party and then get up and go do something. Or if you can't get up, draw a paint, do something that makes you feel good, so you're able to get your mind off of things. Play Sudoku, whatever you have to do, like, crosswords, it's something to get your mind off of it. For me, when I have really severe insomnia, I take out my college statistics book. Anybody that knows me well knows I cannot stand math. It is not my strong point, which is why I have great accountants. Thank you, Monica and Kenny. Mwah! Shout out to you guys. You guys are amazing. And they take care of all my financial stuff, as well as my younger brother, who's also an accountant. So I'm surrounded by all these people that are very good at math. I'm great at writing and reading and honking on my flute and doing all of that stuff. And drawing, not so good with some other things. Anyway, so that was obviously a big sidebar. So there's a lot of reasons people would have insomnia. Just put anxiety and insomnia almost in the same word. My son would have enjoyed that one. There's a lot of reasons people with Lyme would have insomnia. So if you're looking at the physical components, we went through those. If you're looking at mental health components, I touched upon some of them. Again, so what do you do to treat this if you have this as a problem? Melatonin is a great supplement to use. Kava Kava is really good. Chamomile tea is great. Lavender oil is awesome. You can rub it under your nose. You can take a drop of it and put it in your water. I would recommend to get a very high quality lavender oil from like a place like Longevity. My dear friend Laura Harshman can hook you up with that. So if you want to subscribe to my page, or if you want to leave a comment, I can check you some, get her information over to you. She's awesome. She's a nurse based down in Florida, and a very dear friend and colleague of mine. So I appreciate anything she recommends. She's fantastic. So traditional medicinals makes a tea called Sleepy Time, and that's got a bunch of herbs in it. Caution with that, though. You guys know that there's not a lot of study done on herbs with medications mixed with them. So if you are on a medication, please check with a nutritionist or a medical professional who's well versed in herbs and drug interactions, possible interactions. You can ask your local pharmacist. I found them to be helpful with those things, but again, they're usually, and if I ask a pharmacist this, I know my local pharmacist unfortunately well. She's like, Christy, I'm not sure about the herb portion of it. Can you help me with that? And we kind of, the two of us will go back and forth and looking up data and research. So that's definitely something you can ask me or comment on below in the box down there. What else can you use for sleep? I'm trying to think. Oh, tryptophan, the amino acid, is really good for sleep. 1,000 milligrams of that for the evening, depending on your body weight. Dosing is different, obviously, depending on weight. Neuropeptide injections. I did those for quite a while. Those are helpful for sleep. And then you have some people that wind up, that they're so sick that they wind up turning to medications. Um, I have tried a lot of different meds for sleep, and I'm not a medication person, but when you've gone without sleeping for, I'm not even kidding you, I went without sleeping for almost 5.5 days, like in a row once. That was horrible. I wouldn't wish that upon my worst enemy. It was bad. Like, no matter what I did, I was exhausted, and I just could not fall asleep. So, at one point, I had to put myself on meds because there was no other. If you don't sleep, you're gonna die. I mean, scientists don't know why we need sleep. All we know is that if we don't sleep, the body's not able to rejuvenate itself. If you have autoimmune problems, you have Lyme disease, it's not going to be able to fight it off unless you get the appropriate amount of rest. Now, it's really funny that I'm talking to you at 3 o'clock in the morning in New York about insomnia, because if you would have talked to me 5 years ago, forget about it. Never would I tell you I had insomnia. I was one of those people that a tornado could go flying past, or a monsoon or something, and I would be like, why are you waking me up? Leave me alone. Don't bother me. I would come home from work, get my child taken care of, make sure he was all good back then, and just fall asleep like it was nothing, wake up at 5:30 in the morning and just go running and just get my day started. Nowadays, my sleep schedule is erratic. It's a little weird. There are times where I'm exhausted in the afternoon and I have to get up and fight that. That's tough on the days where I don't really feel 100%. And I do want to take some time to rest, which I do recommend doing. If your body's telling you to rest, then take it easy. It's a warning sign. It wants you to do that. However, there are times I ignore that. I'm not perfect either. And I'll go for like a walk or do something, or jump in the pool, or start hopping up and down on the trampoline. And sometimes I get a second wind. So I think the best thing you can do if you do have insomnia is to try to keep your schedule as regular as you can. Don't be like me, who sleeps next to her laptop. Now, this is an author. I sleep like practically on top of my laptop, which is pretty funny. Why would I do that? Most people would ask. Since I was 5, all my best creative writing ideas have come to me in the middle of the night, and it's just the way that my brain seems to function. Although, obviously, I can write at different times. It's not a big deal, but seems to be my idea hour, so to speak. So a lot of times I'll leave my laptop on. Not a good idea, because your laptop is, one, keeping you awake. I take my son's tablet away from him as well before he's getting ready to go to bed after about half an hour, because I know otherwise he'll be up on the stupid thing all night long. And that's most kids in today's generation. There's a lot of adults too. We don't always leave our jobs at work. Sometimes we bring it home, or we're on the computer for entertainment purposes. So I would try to limit screen time before bed. That can be really helpful. Also keeping in mind, I worked for AT&T for many years before I became a nutritionist, so that taught me a lot about the wireless industry. But it also taught me about something called EMFs, electromagnetic fields, which come from Wi-Fi access. So if your computer has Wi-Fi on it, it's emitting out this constant electromagnetic field. Same thing with cell phones. I'm one of those people, again, I sleep like on top of my cell phone. Like, I sleep with my cell phone. I'm always afraid I'm not going to hear my alarm go off, or if somebody calls me and it's an emergency for my child in the middle of the night, so I do keep it nearby. That is like one of the worst things you can do. So don't do what I do on that one, everyone, because your phone is also emitting out these electromagnetic fields. Now, little itty bitty secret, when I worked at AT&T many moons ago, there were a lot of studies done on people getting cancer behind the ear that they talked on the phone with most frequently. And I remember hearing that and being like, oh man, that is not good. Since then, that's now become public knowledge. Back in the day, nobody really knew anything about that. And there's more and more controversy and more people showing up that they're sensitive to EMFs. So the last couple of times I actually slept well throughout the night were nights I did not have my laptop out. My phone was not in the same room. Or if it's in the same room, shut the thing off if you can. I know that sounds preposterous to say in this day and age, but just put it in another room if you can do that. Sometimes I'll leave my phone in my kitchen, and I'll just sit it on the charger in there, or it's even further, I leave it all the way in my living room. It's as far as it possibly can be from me. Same thing with the computer. Maybe stick it on a desk in an office room, or put it in a spare bedroom, or just shut the thing off. You know, your computer needs a rest at times too. So all of those things can cause insomnia as well. Not taking enough time to have a good meditative practice at the end of the day. Like, I always listen to Law of Attraction podcasts to go to sleep, or ASMR. If you can look that up on YouTube, ASMR has got some really great, like, soothing, like, little videos that you can watch that help you to sleep too. So I like to check that out. There are quite a few really good ones on there. I'm trying to think. AMSR Darling is the one that I usually listen to, and you can subscribe to her YouTube page. She's got some really great videos. So, as far as natural ways to fall asleep, I'm trying to think of some more stuff off the top of my head. We went through the most obvious ones. Like I said, the traditional medicinal tea, the kava kava, valerian root is another one I didn't bring up. That would be excellent to help with sleep. I know a lot of patients that use valerian root with great success. Again, we said tryptophan, the amino acid, 1,000 milligrams of that is helpful for sleep. So there are a lot of things. Now, what do you do if you went through the gamut of all those and nothing works at all? Magnesium is something else that's good to try. It relaxes the muscles, relaxes the body, so you can try to go to sleep. If you have really bad restless leg syndrome or something weird like that going on, that can help. Or just make yourself super tired. One of the things I'll do is, can't go running, I'll do Pilates in bed several hours before I have to go to sleep. And that can help out just to get that extra little second wind out, and then hopefully get yourself some rest. I tell patients, I'm kind of divided on this. If you get tired, I tell people to take a nap. If you need the rest, your body's obviously telling you something. But then again, on the same token, if you can keep within a normal sleep schedule, great. It obviously depends on your situation. Everyone's body is different. So I encourage, if you have any questions, you can certainly always contact us for a consult. 631-835-5003. You can shoot me over an email at Christie at happyandhealthywellness.com. And definitely subscribe to our box below so you can see our other great videos. And you can also hit some comments on there. Let me know if you like it, what we're talking about, or if there's a specific topic on Lyme that you want me to cover. I'm happy to cover that for you. And I really appreciate the viewership, guys. Thank you so much for being such amazing viewers, and for passing our videos far and wide and making them do very well. We look forward to seeing you guys again on another night. So we're going to wrap up our insomnia video. I'm going to go take a nap before I have to go see my patients, and make sure I'm all bright-eyed and bushy-tailed for them. So I hope everybody has a good evening, a good day, wherever you guys are coming to me from. And everybody take care. Love you guys. Mwah! Bye.